headed up to Norman Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. This is an Oklahoma team, 32-17 on the season, 13-14 in SEC play. They just got swept by Kentucky over the weekend, and I believe that was in Norman, correct?
No,
It was not in Norman.
Bluegrass State,
It
my
was in
man.
Lexington. Okay. All right. Hard to go on the road in the SEC. We all know that.
The pink pimp hat must have been out, man.
Yeah, the
Kentucky
pimp
got him
hat
in
was out.
Lexington.
But this interesting thing to me about this Oklahoma team, they lost a series to Georgia. They were swept by LSU. They lost a series to Bama. Their series wins this year in the SEC: South Carolina, Mississippi State, Mizzou, Ole Miss, who I think pretty good team, and then a Vandy team that's pretty good. So a lot of their series wins haven't come against the better teams in the SEC, and a lot of their losses have come against teams that Texas has handled well. Let's just put it that way. As we head into this series this weekend, Zach, what are your overall thoughts? What do you think Texas needs to do to get it done? I mean, to get that one win. You talked about the one win against this Oklahoma team. What is this Texas team going to have to do to get that?
Honestly, you're probably going to get your butt beat on Thursday night against Kyson Witherspoon. He's one of, if not the best pitcher in the nation. He's got some absolute electric stuff. I mean, he's legit. When he's off, he's throwing it too flat over the middle, but he throws hard. You're going to see 98, 99 regularly. You're going to see movement. You're going to see all kinds of nasty breaking, but his fastball is his go-to. So they need to be hunting fastballs, and they need to know that, it's
early in the count, right?
It's going to be tough because he's going to fill up the strike zone. He's not a guy that, he's a super athletic guy. But there are times when in the past when he's been super streaky and he just doesn't locate his stuff. And pitching, right? Like, it's baseball. It's one of those things where he has an off night, and maybe he does that. Short week for him. They had to travel to Kentucky. They had to travel back. So maybe that factors into it, you hope. But outside of that, I mean, honestly, if you look at any of the Oklahoma games this past weekend in Kentucky, they couldn't hit the ball to save their lives. They couldn't get the runs home when they had guys on the bases. I mean, it sounded a lot like the Texas-Florida series, honestly. Like, they just couldn't buy a hit at the right time. So that ballpark,
you look at the numbers for this.
So
you look at the numbers for this Oklahoma offense, and to me, it reminds me a lot of the Texas offense. I mean, not down to the T, but a similar to me, they seem like a similar type of team. Some really good pitching, and then maybe some bats that can be streaky, but you're not going to get you're not going to get consistent offense out of this Oklahoma team. You mentioned Kyson Witherspoon, 2.45 ERA, 190 opponent batting average, 104 Ks, which has got to be up there pretty high in the nation, certainly in the SEC, I would think. 104 is a lot. To only 19 walks. So to your point, maybe sometimes he does lose control a little bit, but he's getting the ball past people and they're swinging at pitches that may be out of the zone because it's just, as you said, really electric stuff. Their other two starters are more human to me. Cade Crossland, Malachi Witherspoon, 6.62 ERA, 5.66 ERA. The batting average way up closer to 300. Lot less Ks, or we're talking like 40, 30 K difference here, and a lot more walks as well. So I think, if we were to lose on Thursday night, it wouldn't be the end of the world because we're going to see some more normal pitching on Friday and Saturday. The offense to me, and I wrote this down, I said they're a lot like Texas, except they don't have near as much power. This is not an offense that puts the ball out of the park. And what do you factor? Are they just not good at swinging the bat as far as that goes? Because Oklahoma's
it's not their
decent,
offense. Yeah,
it's pretty decent. It's a pretty decent place to get the ball out of, right? Like, it's not a tough place to get the ball.
It plays
out
small.
Of. Yeah.
No, I mean, the Oklahoma offense, it's all about Willis's offense, which is called chaos. They want to put motion on. You see the 127 attempted steals or whatever it is.
So they're
going to run on you constantly. They're going to put pressure on you as a pitching staff. to be able to hold the runners. I mean, it's in all honesty, the two keys of the game is be able to get to their bullpen, which has been so, and just hold the runners. I mean, Ruger is going to need to hold the runners. Harrison does a really good job of holding the runners, and then whoever ends up being the third starter, which I have a feeling we're going to see a somewhat of a surprise name. Um, Again, they're just going to have to hold the runners. Texas cannot let them just move over and motor over in scoring position without a fight. And so Galvan's going to need to be spot on with his throwdowns. He needs to make sure that he's ready for those guys and calling a solid game. But yeah, not a lot of power. They again rely on extra base hits and then just timely hitting and getting those guys over via steals. That's their offense. It's all about the Willis chaos.
Yeah, we've previewed a lot of teams this year where we said they've got 4, 5, 6 guys over 1,000 OPS. Oklahoma has 0 guys above 1,000 OPS. So not the same type of offense that we've seen. And again, it's baseball. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Let's talk about that pitching piece a little bit. You interviewed Sloss this morning, and he y'all talked about Ruger a little bit and kind of maybe what's next and maybe who that is. And then we had some conversations on the side today about what we think there. Mark, who would be your guy? If it's not Ruger that gets a start, who would be your guy coming in Friday night for this or Thursday night rather for this Texas pitching staff?
So you can back me up here and just confirm that I'm not stealing somebody's answer from the chat that we have going on here. But
I'll do it.
The guy that has really impressed me the last couple of weeks that I'd love to see what he can do in a starting role is Thomas Burns. That dude has just been an absolute animal. And I know that he's provided a lot of value out of the bullpen, but he also has some experience starting, correct? I believe he was a starting pitcher at Arizona State last year. And it seems to be that's where we need some help right now, right? Jason Flores is a very talented pitcher. He's obviously struggled with control problems the last 2 home starts that he's had. And he was doing fantastic before in the bullpen, right? He was putting up great numbers earlier in the season. So I would love to see what that flip would maybe look like, right? With maybe putting Burns out there for game 3. I don't know. I wasn't able to listen to Zach's interview with Schloss today, but I'd love to see Ruger stick in that Friday night role, right? I know it's Thursday night this week, but I would bring Burns in as the number 3 starter and see what he can do, and to see how effective he could be. But I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. It just seems like we got to figure something out and make a move some place or the other, right? Because it's just not necessarily working the way I think anybody wants it to right now. What do you guys think? What would you do? And Zach, what did Coach say about Ruger in y'all's interview earlier today?
Oh, I have no doubt that Ruger is going to be the Thursday night guy against Oklahoma. I zero doubt in my mind that he's going to be the guy. It's going to be Ruger. It's going to be Harrison, and then again, I think Thomas Burns is probably the most logical choice. He only started a handful of games last season at Arizona State as a freshman because he did get injured. But he pitched back-to-back days against Florida, right? So he did pitch Saturday, Sunday, which lends itself to holding him out until later in the series, right? And so Saturday kind of lines up. Personally, I know a lot of people want to see Max Grubbs, and as much as I love Mustache Max, the thing about him is he is so much better suited to be a bullpen eater behind a Ruger or behind a Harrison. He's so valuable there. And the thing I go always back to with Max was you could almost count the number of innings last year when Max was on the mound before he would it was this weird thing where he'd go 3 innings and have a blip inning, and all of a sudden you're like, crap, he just gave up 3 runs. And then he'd come back out and he was just good. Like, it was like, for whatever reason, he would just have this weird blip at the inning. And it kind of happened last week as well, where he was cruising along and all of a sudden it was just like, oh, gave up a run or 2.
There goes a home run. Yeah.
That just seems to happen with him, and I don't think it's mental. I don't think it's because he loses concentration or anything like that. It's just it's baseball, right? But for that reason, and the fact that you don't have the utility guy, which is Ruger, in the bullpen anymore. Max is that utility guy. I think you keep him there. And again, I am not a pitching coach by any means, but if I'm going out there, I'm putting Ruger on Thursday. I'm pairing him up with a Max Grubbs if I need him. The goal would on Thursday night, your goal would hopefully be to go Ruger to Duplantier to Volantis to close it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Friday, you come out with Luke Harrison, which I think more pairs better with Grubbs because realistically, once Harrison leaves, you can bring Grubbs in and go the distance.
Yeah.
The problem with starting Burns is now you've lost your starter guy, unless you're going to be able to bring Volantis back out on Friday in game 2, which he's shown that he can do, right? And so I also don't think it's out of the question that maybe this is going to be Volantis's start on Saturday. Give him a chance, see what he can do. I think he's still more valuable as a closer, but if they need to win, they need to win. At this point,
They need a win.
They need one win, right?
Exactly.
1 out of 3. That's all you need to get us. So
yeah, I almost feel like we might see what we saw at Arkansas, which didn't work out, where we saw Grubbs, Burns, and Volantis in the same game. And if you throw that out there most times, you're probably going to be really successful. We just ran into a really good Arkansas offense. I think the thing about Grubbs, you kind of mentioned how he'll go along great for 3 innings and then kind of run into it a little bit. He throws a lot of strikes. And if you throw a lot of strikes, people are going to start to see that. And these are good hitters we're talking about. They're going to start putting bat on ball. And I think that's what we see with Grubbs a little far into his outings is he just throws a lot of strikes. And so once they've seen it a time or two, they're like, okay, I've seen this. I can put a good swing on this. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I do agree. He is super valuable in that sort of just wherever you need me role. Like almost like, hey man, I can do 3 today and I'll do 2 tomorrow, or I'll do 1 tomorrow and then 1 on Sunday, whatever it takes. That's what he can do. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see this weekend what those changes look like and how Sloss decides to use these pieces he's got, because I think there's been more step up. We've seen it over the last few weeks. We've seen guys like Cody Howard. We've seen guys like Hudson Hamilton. We've seen Ethan Walker, not as much recently, but as soon as a few weeks ago, come in and pitch some innings and do pretty well. Grayson Saunier is a guy that pitched really well this weekend.
Well, so that Grayson Saunier is my dark. That's who I'm putting money on to start the Saturday game, to be honest. It sounds crazy, but I don't
know that it sounds crazy.
Right now I'd put Grayson.
So. He's proven he can come out and throw you some innings, and he's not perfect, but he keeps you in range, right? And I think that's what you're looking for.
He also has starter experience from Ole Miss, so he's been there. He's done that. It's
Texas State was his last start, right? He started in San Marcos. I think that was his last start this season. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, he's been good, and I think, right, guys, what's so important and what's obviously a little bit worrisome to me is we haven't been able to get the length out of our starters the last 2 weekends, right? I think 1 out of the 6 games we've had a guy get out of the 4th inning, and that was Harrison on Saturday, right? And I think you look at the Florida series, Ruger, he didn't even make it out of the 1st, did he?
He didn't make it.
He got pulled in the 1st, and then
he got 1 out, I believe. I think he pitched a 1/3 of an inning.
Yeah, and that obviously just puts the bullpen in a bad position, right? If you're having to get 7, 8 innings from your bullpen early in the weekend. So I just remember talking a couple weeks ago about how we were really impressed with like the consistent 5 innings that each guy was given on the weekend, right? And that's really where that's really the magic number. If you can get 5 innings out of your starter, we have enough really talented arms to get the job done in the back end. So I think that's really the magic number for us moving forward.
Yeah, because the SEC average last year was 4.2 innings or 4.1 innings. Yeah. So, you get 5 and you set yourself up for a lot of success.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as Texas heads up to Norman, we've got 2 two offenses that aren't lighting up scoreboards, and we got two pitching staffs that are pretty good pitching staff. So it'll be interesting to see. You know how in college football sometimes you go, man, these are two really good defenses, or these are two really good offenses, and the exact opposite happens in the game. We might see 12 to 10 games this weekend. Who knows? I'll take them if we win them. I don't care. I like to see runs scored. So